the psyops aren't just what have been going on through the media and Hollywood and through magazines or other publications. It's been in education. They've removed classes like civics, which were directly designed to teach us about the Constitution, uh, the function of government, how the government works. And when they removed that over the years, people are thinking, well, we're learning stuff about American history because of social studies or some BS little class that they're giving your kids. And your kids don't know anything about the Bill of Rights or the Constitution or how the government's supposed to work, the three branches of government. So you're looking at a period of a multi-generational time where people don't know their rights. And now the government can easily take those rights away from you because you don't even know what they are. And that also falls in line with a psyop.
Well, one thing I've noticed in that book too, and I guess I've kind of always known this, and in part of that psyops, they do things to where they can keep the populations fearful. And the best way to control even large numbers of people at one time is through fear. And I think a perfect example of that was when we went to war with Iraq. You know,
Yeah.
when there were 3,000 people who died in one day in New York, and we're at war. The people were ready to go to
Well,
war.
and I'm not besmirching anyone in this country that has strong held views on 9/11. You and I have spoken about this on the
Many
side
times.
quite a few times. And 9/11 was, I'm going to call it a false flag. It did happen. We did lose almost 3,000 people. But the false flag aspect of it was that it had absolutely zero to do with anything other than we needed public support to engage in a conflict so that the military industrial complex could maintain a hell of an income. And it was
It would line
a
the
way
pockets of
also,
a few people.
yeah, and it was a perfect way for people to be willing to take the fear that they felt. Oh, we were attacked on American soil and it was an atrocity. So they came in with the Patriot Act. And the Patriot Act was one of the biggest things that actually removed and when it took our personal rights and threw it in the crapper. And
Yeah.
it gives the government the right to come into your home without a warrant, to arrest and detain you without due process. I mean, they nowadays, if anybody wants to go to a teacher's, a board of education meeting,
Oh, you're a
they turn
terrorist.
around and they get labeled a terrorist under the Patriot Act. If
That's
you
right.
want to go to a large rally and you have the wrong political view, we're going to arrest you, throw you in a hole for God knows how many months now. What we're looking at 15 months, 16 months.
Yep.
Most of them are still sitting there, bogus
Without even seeing a
charges,
judge.
and it's all under the guise of the Patriot Act. And
Right.
people think that this can't happen to them. Well, I guarantee you those 250 something people sitting in the gulags in Washington never thought it would happen to them. And they can do it to all of those people. They can do it to each and every one of us. And people need to wake up and not be fooled, because I love my country. I
Right.
am a constitutional conservative, but I cannot stand my government.
Yeah, there's one other aspect about 911 too that plays into the Psyops Manifesto. The the people, and I'm not saying everybody else. I mean, I was one of those people. I mean, when 911 happened, I was on the phone with the recruiting office trying to get back in because I knew we were going to
Yeah,
war.
me too.
And so it's not like I'm talking about everybody else or pointing fingers. I'm included in that, but we were victims of this Psyops manifesto in that it was designed specifically, not just to put us in fear so that they could control us. There is another aspect that needs to be noted. The manifesto was designed to do things to the population so that we not only would be easily controlled, we would not only agree with what the government said we needed to do, we would actually petition the government to do it, which is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And
He
nine,
who will sacrifice a little bit or a little freedom for the sense of security deserves neither.
that's correct. That is correct. And again, I can't iterate this enough. I was victim of that same thought pattern, and I believe 911 is probably one of the better examples because it's one that is very well remembered by everyone who's still alive right now. But since that incident, it has taken far less for the people who funded this psyops operation to get what they're looking for. And and ultimately, what we're seeing now is this huge divide in our country. A country against itself will fall. That too was part of the psyops plan. We've had, I don't know what the numbers are, but I would dare to say about half the country is screaming they hate the country, and the other half of the country is saying, this is my country. I love my country. And I think if we take a step back and look at just what's going on in our country right now, I think we'll see something we never really wanted to see. You know, it's I almost forgot what I was saying here, but the thing is, I mean, we're seeing a divide in our country. We're seeing it's basically let's go to the very original form of government, the family unit. And Patrick, you and I have witnessed this because we grew up in it. But when a family is divided, it will separate. It's going to fall.
Yeah.
And not to air out our family situation, but I've come to terms with it now, so I'm okay talking about it. But as we were growing up, you know, there was so much confusion and so much turmoil inside our family unit that it got to the point where we wouldn't even talk to each other. And in not talking to each other, we could not figure out the problem. And we just went with what we knew. And that was so and so made me mad. So and so did something that shouldn't have done. And we just didn't talk to each other, stayed mad at each other all the time.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we're seeing in this country right now. And I think if we all just take a breath, take a time out, and back away from the situation and look at it realistically and just open up that line of communication with the people you think you hate, you might find you don't hate them. You've been programmed that way. And
yeah, and it's been it's been designed to. This goes back to critical theory.
right,
The first form of the theories was critical theory, and critical theory, whether it's critical race theory or critical theory or there's actually three of them, but and the middle one the first one morphed into critical legal theory.
right,
They all do the same thing. They are based on the premise of an oppressor and an oppressed. Now, these are the roots of gearing a population to go to Marxism, which is the sister of communism. Now,
mm-hmm,
as long as we have people divided into categories, a lot of people find it easier to be oppressed and check off blocks. And the other people, rich white liberals particularly, love to virtue signal about how they're so good to the oppressed, and everybody else is bigoted or xenophobic or homophobic or some stupid name to keep us all in little boxes and at each other's throats.
Right.
I mean, ultimately, we need to see each other as Americans.
First and
We're
foremost.
brothers and sisters under the same banner. There is no gay pride banner that I stand under. That doesn't unite us. Now, the
Right.
American flag covers all people, transgender, gay, white, black, Native American, all ethnicities of immigrants. It covers everybody if you are legally in this country and you come here and you assimilate. We are all Americans.
That
And
is
we
correct.
have to get this mindset of white, black, Asian, or Latino, and I'm not ever going to call a Latin person a Latinx. I don't know if it's offensive to them or not. I hear it is, but I just feel stupid saying that. I ain't
I've never even heard it.
Yeah, Latinx. What a joke.
What is that?
I don't know, man. I keep hearing it nowadays. Like they're trying to be inclusive to somebody. I mean, what is a Latinx, a porno star or something? Are they in the sex business? Oh, man, that's Latinx, man.
Is there an 800 number attached to that?
I don't know, but I keep hearing this stupid shit. And all it is one more way to divide people.
That's correct.
I mean, if you're Latino, you're Latino. That means you came from a Latin-speaking country.
Mm-hmm.
I just...
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I have, you know, of course, we're from the South, so, you know, we're
Farmer Jim over here, and we're from the North. Yeah, man, I'm from Boston. Yeah, I think that was pretty distinguished.
Yeah.
Distinguishable.
Farmer Jim, I forgot all about him. But, you know, being from the South, I mean, we know about, we got a firsthand look at what racism was all about. I mean, we grew up around it, but I think you'll agree there's at least, you know, for me anyway, there's about 15, 20 years where you really just, I mean, it was like you could actually say, what is racism? It's a thing of the past. And,
yeah,
you know, it's crazy to me now that, I hate to lay it on any one administration, but, you know, it seems the race talk has come up a lot over the last year or two, and it started putting that divider line between different races. And I'm not talking white and black. I'm talking the whites, the blacks, the Mexicans, the Asian Americans that are here. And what for? I mean, we had nearly, I would like to say anyway, because I feel like that, I would say we nearly did away with the race issue. And now all of a sudden it's back again. And I think, you know, if you want to point out an obvious thing that has been going on in our country that's created divide, I think you could start there because that is the one topic they love to throw into our platter and say, now divide yourselves. And, you know, I guess my big thing, especially right now, is that my fellow Americans realize that we are fellow Americans, and let's hold on to that because, you know, not just because we're Americans, but what does it mean to be American, first and foremost? You know.
Well, another part about that is the reason they keep bringing it up. We almost had it gone. There was a number of administrations where you heard about inner city problems, or you heard about school choice. You know, a lot of your inner city people are of African American descent, which I hate that term too. Unless you came from Africa, you're an American. You're just a black American.
But that's what you deal with here in our region of the country. And you go west, and it's going to be, you know, the Latino community that has to hear this. You know.
But well, the thing about it for me is the ruling class. Everybody, do not be fooled. There is no Republican and Democrat. There is a uniparty in America, and they all work for the same goals and same purpose. They're trying to achieve the same things. Now, if there is nothing from them to save you from, then they have nothing to stand on when they try to get elected. But
So
they
they create it.
they create the problem so they can fool you to think they're going to swoop in and fix the problem. When in fact, if it wasn't for them, the problem wouldn't exist.
That's correct.
So when people start talking about, oh, blacks are being this is a racial, no, it's not racial.
Mhm.
I mean, and if you really look at what they call a racially motivated crime, I
Mhm.
mean, 99% of it is BS. I mean, America is so racist that we have to literally fake hate crimes. We have to act, we are so racist that there aren't enough racist acts that the media can just walk out there and cover it.
Right.
Somebody actually has to stage it, has to
What
fake it.
there's a perfect example of this too. You remember the subway shooting in New York?
Yeah,
The Democrats came straight to the forefront. It was white supremacists that did this, and we need to take guns off the streets. All right, first of all, guns don't have anything to do with it. But the guy that they were calling a white supremacist was a middle-aged black man.
that's
And
right.
that's how they promoted it was white supremacy. And so, and
Well, and see this, and this is another thing about it too, and this is where the psyops comes in. They cherry pick stories. They'll exclude certain details and claim it to be one way, and
mhm,
then they will wall to wall cover a lie, so people think that the problem is 100,000 times worse
mhm.
than it is.
Like,
And
I guess a recommendation
it
then would be to just turn the TV off because you're getting ambushed every time you turn it on.
yeah, if you have a news on, and I don't care, Newsmax, MSNBC, CBS, CNN, BBC, I mean, you can go on and on and on and on. It's probably a lie.
Well, I count on it now. I do. And again, the whole purpose for this show is to look. I mean, if you like certain news channels, okay, that's fine. But just Patrick, you and I grew up on this whole. I mean, if we learned anything about life, our dad and our grandfather told us, do not believe everything you see and believe less what you hear. And that's kind of my motivation here is not to talk about anybody's desired news channel or anything like that. Just don't believe everything you're hearing. Check it out. It's it causes you to do a little work, but a little work never hurt anybody. But
I
we
don't
are.
mind calling out news channels.
I don't mind calling out news channels. But it's not my. It's really not my place to talk about the news channels as being bad, even though they are. But I mean, what my concern is that we as Americans are Americans. We need to work together, and that's how this country was founded. Patrick, you and I talked about this just a little while ago. Even when we were studying the history books, everybody knows the name of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. I mean, these are great names in American history, but these men did not do anything toward independence by themselves. It was an entire 13 colonies that came together and said, we need to do something. So when that Declaration of Independence was signed by these great statesmen that you hear about in history books, no, I'm sorry, they don't even teach them anymore. But think about this. 63 men delegated to one Congress to decide what to do, made a decision to sever ties with England. And, you know, of the 13 colonies, I don't even think the population was as big as the English army at the time. But those men that we hear about and we revere as the founding fathers of our country, they didn't do this on their own. An entire nation came together to fight against the tyranny of England. And that's what I would like to see this country come back to. Quit listening to the garbage that's coming down from the tyrannical rulers of not just our country, but the people that are controlling them. We're a nation of brothers and sisters of American. We're American. I would say of American descent, but that's hard to say because we're not all Native American or from Mexico. And most of us are from Germany, England, Ireland, Iceland, all these countries from around the world. So
we
we're
name
not
a country, they're here.
That's right. And this country was founded on immigration, but we were not founded on the flooding of illegal immigration. And we do have an American heritage and we do have American values and virtues. And if we keep listening to what the news is telling us, it's going to be another civil war. And then
this is another thing. You have 195 different countries in the world. You've got them of all different types of governance.
Right.
If you wish to be socialist or communist, man, take a pick. You can go to one of them. I wish to have a free America. I wish to maintain what we have and to reclaim what we have. So if you wish to have communist or Marxist or socialist or a hierarchy or a monarchy or
they're there for the picking.
Democracy, yeah, you can find. You can go to the four corners of the planet and you can find what you're looking for. Just leave my house out of it. This is my home. America is free, and that's what I believe in.
Right. And for those who don't know, I'll make the same statement. This is my house, and I feel that I have earned my house. Patrick, you and I are both veterans. We both served this country, but we didn't serve what is going on now. And I got in trouble when I was in the Navy about my attitude and was asked specifically, why did you join my Navy? I told my chief, I didn't join your Navy. I said, I didn't join for you. I didn't join for the captain of the base. I did not join for the flight surgeon. I did not join for the LPOs from the squadron. And if you look out there over that tarmac, that ensign, what it represents, that's what I joined for. The freedom of this nation. And that includes the freedom to disagree, to have varying opinions, we can be individuals and still, be brothers, if you will. And that is what made this country a great country. And that's what I want back. So, I think
Chris, I'm about to drop off. I'm at a bad spot. I'm getting ready to drop off.
Yep, I just got the 10-minute warning about 7 minutes ago, so it's a good time to conclude this.